We're here at Port Royal Speedway, Ashley's home track. And Ashley, just spending time here, this track is so connected to this community. It's amazing. The community and the track are intertwined.
Absolutely. You know, it sits right in the center of town. The community, the county really supports racing here every Saturday night, and it's amazing just to see this place flourish.
It really is amazing. And one of the other things that's fascinating about this racetrack is within a block from here, there are not one, but two sprint car shops. And Ashley got a chance to hang out at one of those shops.
We are a block from the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway, at Dylan Sisney's shop. Now, Dylan, I know this is a little bit farther away from the track than where you were born and raised, and I really want to start there. What was it like? You grew up on 3rd Street, right off the backstretch of Port Royal Speedway.
Yeah, we grew up on the backstretch, and partway through my childhood, we moved to the other side. We're on the front stretch side now, so a couple blocks difference, but we're still within walking distance, so it's pretty cool.
Would you say that's really what ignited your passion for sprint car racing?
Yeah, it's all I've ever known. You know, as soon as I can remember, I could look out my bedroom window and see it. So I guess I didn't have a chance to learn anything else.
Well, let's start back with your early years, because you didn't just jump right into a sprint car. You started off in go-karts. We're traveling the country with that, with your dad. Talk about just the history of where your passion and drive came with the go-karts before you strapped into one of these sprint cars.
Yeah, as soon as I could remember being a kid, my dad always had a go-kart out in the driveway, working on it late at night in our garage on 4th Street over there. And I always wanted to help and race, and that's where the number 5 came from. That was Dad's number. And, you know, as soon as I got old enough, we were in this house here, and this was the same garage that I had 2 go-karts in when I started. One was his, one was mine, and we had matching go-karts for a couple years, and we progressed couple different divisions from there, but we've raced out of this garage ever since I was 7 years old, so it's all happened from here up.
It just got a little bit bigger cars now instead of those little go-karts fitting in here, so you probably can't fit as many in here as you did when you raced go-karts.
Yeah, this was, Dad actually designed this kind of for the go-karts. That's why the driveway's laid out how it is and the shop's like this. This was just the race car bay, and Mom used to be able to park in here in a couple vehicles, and now we joke we're running out of room because we keep getting bigger toys, so.
I love it. Now, you have the opportunity to race just up the street at the Speed Palace, a place that you've always looked at. But what is one of your heroes growing up? A local, I believe, Keith Kaufman, he was finishing up his last year when you actually started racing sprint cars. Is there a little sense of home? Yeah, of course, we're a block down the street, but is there something that makes that a little bit more special for you?
Yeah, you know, Keith was definitely my hero growing up. He was, you know, the big Juniata County guy and the man from Mifflintown everybody knew, and kind of the one I looked up to. You know, all the kids at school, that was the one they talked about when we were growing up, and we all had his T-shirt on, and, you know, that was kind of your hero to look up to, and that's who you wanted to be like. So I think I have a long way to go before I get to 129 wins over here, but hey, hopefully we'll slowly work our way there. And, you know, I'm really glad I got to run a couple years there, when he was still around, and I had a couple races where we had good laps side by side with each other. So that was where, those were some good memories that kids coming up nowadays, they won't get the chance to have those. So I'm real thankful for that. And, you know, last year at the banquet, we had some good pictures with each other. And, you know, he said it's up to me to carry the torch for Juniata County now. So I'm trying to do my best. That's
exactly right. And you're still a young gun here. You're not one of the veterans yet, even though you've been wheeling a sprint car for several years now. What is your goal? You know, do you want to continue racing sprint cars? Is there an ultimate larger picture for you?
I want to do anything, really. You know, I love sprint cars. It's what I know growing up. And, you know, I grew up next door to a sprint car track. So it's hard to kind of, you know, bypass that fact. Everybody kind of races what they grew up around. And that's what I had. But I want to race anything and anything, really. You know, stock cars, Indy cars someday. You know, I'm open to anything. Midgets, USAC. You know, I want to get out there and just see what I like to do and try different things. And, you know, any opportunity that comes my way, I'd be ready to take it.
Absolutely. And you've had pretty good success here at Port Royal Speedway. Almost picked up the track championship. I know you're still streaming for one of those, but this could be the year?
I hope so. You know, we really went hard for the championship last year, and you know, it's just a stressful deal always points racing. So we kind of said this year, you know, hey, it is what it is. We aren't really even going to say we're running for points. We just happen to be here every week. So we'll just see what happens. And, you know, if we can travel a little bit and take our minds off this place once in a while, that's what we're going to try and do. And we're just going to play it by ear and see how we do.
Well, I'm just curious, what is probably your most memorable win that you have?
Well, it's probably always going to be the first one over here. You know, we came close a handful of times coming up the years before that. And, you know, it's like before your first win, you just try so hard to get it and you don't know what you got to do. It's like you try harder and harder and keep slipping away or you make a mistake. And, you know, they always say you don't know how to win until you do it the first time. And, you know, that first one, when we finally crossed the line and got it, it was pretty neat. All my friends, family was there. And, you know, it's like everybody was relieved we finally got it there. So now I guess I need to pick the bargain back up and get back there. It's been a little while, so we got to work on that hopefully this weekend.
I love it. And I've got to ask, as a kid growing up, what's probably one of your most memorable races that you've watched here?
I'd say probably the one that sticks out would be the first Dream race in '07 when Jimmy Nace and Shawn Michael won it together. You know, that's probably to this day the biggest cheer I've ever heard at any type of race anywhere. And you know, Jim was always a great guy, and back when I ran the Super Sportsman, he would help us out and give me advice when I was just trying to learn the whole sprint car deal. So, you know, that was a pretty special one, and, you know, one I'll always remember, wishing he was still around to see us finally make it to the 410 ranks.
Awesome. Really cool. We're chatting with Dylan Cisney, just a block down here from the Speedway, and he wants to etch his name in the history at here at Port Royal Speedway. So I just caught up with Dylan Cisney, and you were just down the street.
I'm at the corner of Market and 8th. Okay, old school Port Royal folks will know this as the Point Service Station. This was the hangout spot in Port Royal. They'd come here all week long and talk about racing and go a block and a half up the road to Port Royal Speedway. Brian Ernzeller now owns the building here. And Brian, you've turned the Point Service Center, or Point Service Station, into your race shop. Just tell us about fielding a car this close to Port Royal.
It's pretty neat. It's been a lifetime dream and something I always wanted to do, and trying to do it this year with Jared, and hope to win some races soon.
Indeed. Now you raced as well up at Port Royal, right? What did you race? How did your career go as far as a driver goes?
No, I started this probably 6-7 years ago. Drove it the first couple of years myself, and had a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Trying to go faster.
Indeed, trying to go fast along the way. The convenience of being next to Port Royal Speedway, it's got to be great for a team owner. You don't put a lot of miles in the tow rigs, do you?
No, we're really close, right up the street.
Well, indeed. What we're going to do, we're going to have you step out. We appreciate you having us here, and we're going to bring Jared in and talk to the wheelman of your car. But thanks again for having us here. That's Brian Ernzeller. He owns the Point Service Station right down the street from Port Royal Speedway. So the guy that gets to wheel this car is our buddy, Doug Esch's boy, Jared, who wheels this car here. Jared, good to see you, man. It's great to see you at the race shop.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. This is really cool. I've only been around this area for probably 2 years racing now, but growing up here with Dad and stuff, I don't really know all the history, but the more you hang out, the history of this place really comes out, and it's pretty cool to be a part of it.
Now, you live a ways from here, but having the race shop so close to the racetrack, that's got to be handy with just every aspect of your guys' racing here.
It is. I actually just bought a camper recently, because what's better than sleeping right outside your race shop? But yeah, it's about an hour and a half away, but being up here and being able to stay up here gives you a little more time to spend with your car and go over some things and hang out with the guys. So, and then when you load up, you got a 5-minute drive, not even up the street, and there you are at the races. So yeah, it's really cool.
Indeed. How has the racing been going for you? How are things progressing here with your new situation?
It's we're struggling a little bit. I got the best group of guys I could ask for. Great stuff to race. Some of it's a little experience I need yet. Still fresh to this, and it's a tough game. But no, we're close. We're just, if you're 10th off, that's what it takes. So we're right there. I think once we hit it, we'll be pretty good. But we've got a little work to do yet.
Yourself as a driver, we mentioned your dad, one of the legends of the sport, Doug Esch, as far as that goes. Where would you grade yourself as far as a sprint car racer now? Knowing you're young, knowing you're gaining experience, what would you grade yourself now as?
I think I like to stay humble, but I think growing up and being a part of Dad's career, I've learned a lot that if I can keep doing this for as long as he did, I might be able to surpass that someday, just because Dad didn't have somebody to teach him when he was young. And, growing up around Dennis and Dad in the 30 car and, even with the 07, and I've been with Dad since I was 5 years old. So taking the knowledge that I learned, even a lot of kids these days don't have that chance to grow up next to a racer and learn the ins and outs and little things that you just can't teach somebody. You have to just be a part of it and learn it. So if I get the chance to keep doing this long enough, and it's getting harder and harder, it seems, but if that works out in my favor, I think I might have a shot.
Well, we wish you the best. We wish you the best with the long tow up to Port Royal Speedway. But thanks for joining us here at your race shop.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I really appreciate it.
There we go. That's Jared Esch joining us here on the program from all the way over from the Speed Palace at the Point Service Station, another one of the great local teams right here within a block or two of Port Royal Speedway. Ashley, it's so great to catch up with Dylan Cisney and Jared Esch, the local teams. Something that also strikes me about them is we're not talking old guys racing at this historic racetrack. We're talking young guys. The young blood here is really about the racing, and it's so close by.
And what's so cool about it is the fact that they grew up around here as well, so that youth movement is very strong.
Very strong indeed. So many great connections. Part of Port Royal Speedway, the Speed Palace, and the town of Port Royal, Pennsylvania.